Okay.
Welcome to the in-service on the reporting of child abuse and neglect, which is a yearly in-service that is mandated by Prince George's County. We're going to ask everyone to please sign off on this paper that you have participated in this training. Also with the paper, I am including a sample child abuse and neglect form that can be obtained in the office when it is needed. All of you have already received a pamphlet, Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Procedures, at the beginning of this year. If you don't have yours, more forms are available in the counselor's office. We're going to do the PowerPoint now, and this is about child abuse and neglect reporting procedures. What is child abuse? Any physical or mental injury of a child by a parent, adoptive parent, family or household member, school system employee, or other person who has permanent or temporary care, custody, or responsibility for the supervision of a minor child, or by any household or family member under circumstances that indicate the child's health or welfare is harmed or at substantial risk of being harmed, or the sexual abuse of a child, whether physical injuries are sustained or not. It's also any sexual acts or where physical injuries are sustained or not involving sexual molestation or exploitation, which includes but is not limited to incest, rape, or sexual offense in any degree, sodomy or unnatural, perverted sexual practices on a child by a parent, family, or household member, school system employee, or other person who has permanent or temporary care, custody, or responsibility for supervision of a minor child. Sexual molestation or exploitation includes but is not limited to contact or conduct with a child for the purposes of sexual gratification, and may range from sexual advances, kissing or fondling, to sexual crimes of any degree, rape, sodomy, prostitution, or allowing, permitting, encouraging, or engaging a child in pornographic display, photographing, filming, or depiction of a child as prohibited by law. Neglect is the leaving of a child unattended or the failure to give proper care or attention to a child by any parent, school system employee, or other person who has permanent or temporary care, custody, or responsibility for the child under circumstances that indicate that the child's health or welfare is harmed or placed at substantial risk, or mental injury to the child, or a substantial risk of mental injury. A child must be 8 to be left alone. A child must be at least 13 to babysit a sibling. Mental injury, the observable, identifiable, and substantial impairment of a child's mental or psychological ability to function. Mental injury not caused by an act or failure to provide proper care and attention to a child may not be characterized as abuse or neglect. Medical treatment. Under current law, all parents without exception have a clear duty to obtain standard medical treatment for their sick and or injured children when a reasonable parent would do so. Because of the religious exemptions in Maryland's child abuse and neglect definition that have been repealed, school system personnel must report such cases to Child Protective Services or the police department. Who reports? The law requires any school system employee or volunteer to make an immediate oral report of suspected cases of child abuse, physical or sexual, and neglect. You need only have a reason to believe that abuse or neglect has occurred to make a report to Protective Services. It is the responsibility of the person who first hears about the problem to make certain that the oral report is made to the proper authorities. The principal also permits the Department of Social Services to come in and interview the child on the school premises in connection with an investigation of a case of suspected child abuse, sexual abuse, mental injury, or neglect, whether the child is the victim or non-victim witness. Often they interview brothers and sisters of those children who live in the home, whether or not the child has been previously interviewed by the police or social services. Who will know? All attempts are made by the school system to keep the identity of the reporter strictly confidential. If school records pertaining to the abuse report are requested by a court order, they can be made public. Will I be persecuted or protected? The law provides immunity from any civil liability or criminal penalty to all who participate in good faith in the making of a report in an investigation or in any judicial proceeding resulting from such a report. Who notifies the parents? The responsibility for notifying parents lies with the Department of Social Services or the police department. The school is not responsible for notifying the parents. Do I question the child? It is not the role of employees of the school system to investigate or determine the validity of a suspected child abuse, sexual abuse, or neglect situation. The determination that abuse or neglect has occurred rests with Child Protective Services and or the police department, and it is their job to interview the alleged victim and non-victim witness. What if I do not report? The maximum penalty for failure to report a suspected case of abuse or neglect is losing your Maryland State Department of Education professional certification and or your current job. How to report. The oral report must be followed by a written report within 48 hours of the oral report. The PS-60 Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Form is to be used. It is located in the main office and in the counseling office. The Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Form must be completed before placing the call. Or what I usually do is complete it while I'm on hold waiting to make the call. You need to take with you information that's going to give you the child's address, siblings, parents' names, and telephone numbers. This form must be sent to the following when it's completed: the Department of Social Services on Bright Seat Road in Landover, Maryland. That address is on the top of the form. The State's Attorney in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. That address is on the bottom of the form. The school principal and the Psychological Services Supervisor at the Oxon Hill Staff Development Center. This last one, the Psychological Services Supervisor, may be done through interoffice mail. The Department of Social Services is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And this is the phone number, 301-909-2450. On weekends, holidays, and before 8:30 and after 4:30, there are two other numbers, 301-699-8605 or 301-864-7130. The Prince George's County Police Domestic Investigation Division number is 301-336-8800. Thank you.